I'm Adrian, the cruise and travel guy. I've just spent 7 nights cruising on board the newest cruise line and newest cruise ship to call Australia home, Virgin Voyages' Resilient Lady. If you're wondering if you should book a Virgin Voyages cruise, then you've clicked on the right video. This video is going to be lengthy, but I have broken it down into categories so you can skip to your desired section using the chapter tool, but otherwise, I hope you just sit back, relax, and enjoy. Virgin Voyages' newest ship is currently sailing its first Australian cruise season. The 8-month-old Resilient Lady arrived in Sydney just a couple of weeks ago and then set sail on its maiden Australian cruise from Melbourne on December 11th. I was on board for both the maiden cruise and a 2-night media and trade preview cruise on December 7th. Virgin Voyages has 3 ships in total, and they're all basically the same: Scarlet Lady, Valiant Lady, and Resilient Lady, with a 4th, Brilliant Lady, recently postponed with no current advertised launch date. The biggest criticism by far that is leveled at these ships has to do with their layout and appearance. Bucking the trend of giant new builds, by today's standards, the ships are actually on the smaller side. At about 110,000 gross tons, they're roughly 44% the size of Icon of the Seas, the world's largest cruise ship, and even fall about 30,000 tons short of the 1999 built Voyager of the Seas. On board, lots of cruisers notice that there are a series of smaller, more intimate spaces. There are really no grandiose, large areas like atriums or multi-level dining rooms. The ship still follows a typical cruise liner layout, where in this case, a central 2-level atrium called the roundabout forms the heart of the vessel and your access to most of the internal public spaces. It's also a busy hub with bars, shops, and services all provided within the immediate area. Design is as subjective a topic as could probably exist, but I've read your messages and comments and the feelings are loud and clear. Many of you think that the ship looks cold and as though it was furnished with the assistance of an IKEA gift card. I will say that my initial impression upon viewing pictures and other videos was similar, but getting on board gives you a sense of the space that you can't appreciate from a screen. The materials look expensive and well considered, plus details like electrical outlets and USB slots being made available in the public spaces is an extra nice touch. Now, that's not to say that there aren't misses. There are. The furniture is a mix of good and bad. While all of it is somewhat retro-inspired in look, only some of it is actually functional and comfortable. Lots of low-set seating is just plain irritating. At one point I was sitting on an ottoman that looked like it was made out of rubber bands that was so low to the ground I'm sure my knees were under my chin. There's still plenty of comfortable furniture around on board, including padded lounges and chairs and the like, but there is enough of the bad stuff that it does make finding a comfortable spot to while away some time more challenging than it needs to be. Signage also seemed like it had received that strange Virgin touch, where form is clearly more important than function. Countless people told me they had trouble finding places on board, and while I personally didn't experience this, enough did that it makes me think that some extra thought and consideration needs to go into the onboard wayfinding system. The convention of numbering cabins, though, is a win, with those on the port side having an A suffix and those on the starboard side having a Z suffix, and both letters being immediately obvious in all of the passenger stairwells. And if you don't know, it is worth mentioning that Virgin Voyages is an adult-only cruise line, which means that the age of admission is 18, and we'll talk more about demographics soon. In terms of onboard venues, Resilient Lady has some of my favorites at sea ever. The Dock is this sensational outdoor bar and dining venue that occupies the entire aft section of Deck 7. It just screams summer afternoons, with bar service of course, and even complimentary made-to-order tapas-style food like pita bread and skewered grilled prawns, among others. There's even a daily opera hour, where Greek dishes are offered for 2 hours every afternoon in addition to the standard menu, and and yes, that's all included in your fare. I'll speak more about dining shortly, but the dock is just the perfect place. It really feels like you're at an upscale hotel or beach club. There's something very uncruisy about it, and I think that it will especially appeal to those that are particularly trepidatious about taking their first cruise. The main pool deck is often criticized for being small, and while the deck itself isn't, the pool certainly is on the smaller side. There are actually two, one thalassotherapy style pool in the gym and fitness zone, and then the larger pool in the aquatic club. Thanks to a spacious, shallow waiting area, the pool does look larger than it is and is possibly even more practical than a bigger pool in some sense, as more people can take advantage of getting their feet wet without necessarily jumping into the pool completely. Everyone tells me it was nicely heated as well. Of course, there's a nightclub which is 2 levels and features a stunning mirrored entrance which becomes an Instagram poser's hotspot. The social club is an excellent spot for, well, socializing. There's a huge range of board games, table games, and even a complimentary arcade. Plus, you'll find trivia, karaoke, and other hosted events held here and in other spaces on board throughout each cruise. There are some lovely bars for pre and post dinner drinks, with my favorite indoor venue becoming the Sip Champagne Lounge. It continues the retro theming found on board, with velour furniture and a cozy atmosphere. The main bar is located within the thoroughfare that links the theatre called the Red Room to the roundabout, so it can become congested before and after showtime. This one I struggled with. After I spent a few days in our sea terrace or balcony cabin, it became really apparent that Virgin Voyages is a new cruise line. I've cruised quite a lot, and one thing that I've never really had an issue with in a cabin on other cruise lines, even a regular balcony stateroom, is storage. That all changed on Resilient Lady. I'm an unpacker. I like to get everything out of my suitcase and put away and throw that thing under the bed, and thankfully the suitcases still did fit under the bed. But there is such limited storage in the room that it makes it impossible to function properly. I'm not saying I need a walk-in wardrobe, far from it, but there were nowhere near enough spaces and places to put things. There are no bedside tables where you'll often find extra drawers or a shelf, so that's out of the question. There are no desk or vanity drawers, so that's not an option either. There are basically no shelves, and the vanity surface is small and angular, so that's really of limited use too. While the wardrobe space itself is sufficient, with multiple shelves, 4 drawers, hanging space, and a shelf, plus some baskets, the lack of other in-room storage means the room just didn't come together for me. I was never able to properly feel at home in that cabin. The biggest problem though was the bathroom. Narrow doesn't begin to describe the space. There's enough room to take a single step in, turn on a dime, and walk back out. And again, lack of storage just made it more difficult to get things set up the way I wanted. To the room's credit, I really did enjoy the shower. Both the glass door and rainwater shower head made it feel luxurious, and all things considered, it was actually quite spacious, so that was a big tick. The balcony likewise is spacious, with 2 chairs and a side table that do look a little utilitarian with their cold metallic form. The hammock though is a true delight. Each balcony comes with its own ceiling mounted hammock, and it's an incredibly comfortable space to while away some time. I absolutely loved it, and most people I spoke to did as well. While it's easy enough getting in, getting out requires a little bit of a wriggle. On the tech front, the room is controlled by a tablet that you can use instead of the room's physical switches. From either, you can control the room's lighting and block out curtains, while the tablet gives you exclusive control over the intensity of the ceiling lights, as well as the color of the ambient lighting. The tablet also doubles as a TV remote control, and you can use it to access an extensive catalog of new release movies and TV shows. There's also a limited range of live TV channels and music channels. You can also use the tablet to lodge maintenance requests, housekeeping requests, and even chat with Sailor Services, the onboard guest reception team. In typical Virgin fashion, Virgin Voyages admirably claims that it hires for attitude and then trains for success. And I really love hearing that, because it does underpin the customer service experience that most people will enjoy on board. Crew in restaurants and bars, as well as our room steward, were fantastic. On the whole, they were friendly and professional. Unlike other cruise lines or travel environments, Virgin Voyages encourages its crew to be unique to themselves, and that means showing off their unique or different hairstyles, piercings, tattoos, and wearing clothing that is still a uniform but makes them feel more comfortable. And that sense of individuality really comes through, and I think I appreciated what that did for a sense of team building. Where I didn't feel this though was at Sailor Services. Guest reception is where you go when you have a problem, and unfortunately I experienced that more than a few times, mostly related to the technology, what Virgin call the band, which we'll talk about soon. For me, my experience at Sailor Services was the complete opposite of the majority of my experiences with other crew members on board. In general, I sensed that the crew was impatient, and at worst, they were cold and indifferent. As essentially the home of problem solving and troubleshooting, I don't doubt that the crew there have a big task at hand, but having dealt with my fair share of reception staff, I couldn't help but notice the difference. Maybe the fact that other crew members were so outgoing and friendly really highlighted the difference here, but I expected better and was generally disappointed. Food is one area where Virgin Voyages just hits it out of the park. You might already have heard that there are no specialty dining venues on board, but that doesn't mean there's no variety. In fact, there are multiple restaurants and around 20 total different dining venues and experiences to enjoy, and they're all included in your fare. The only exceptions are some extra charge menu items, but you certainly don't need to spend any extra on board. 6 restaurants take the place of typical cruise ship dining rooms. There's Pink Agave for Mexican cuisine, Razzle Dazzle, the American-style diner, Extra Virgin, the Italian restaurant, the Test Kitchen for gastronomic, boundary-pushing delights, The Wake for steak and seafood, and Gunbae, an actual cook-at-your-table Korean barbecue experience. They're all open for dinner daily, while Razzle Dazzle and The Wake each offer a daily brunch service that begins at around 8 AM and goes through to about 12:30 or 1. All of the venues are incredible. Each is designed to within an inch of its life, and they all operate with their own galley and chef team, just like specialty restaurants on board other cruise lines. While some items might not be to your taste, with complimentary food available 24/7, I think I have very little empathy for those that can't find something to like on board. There's a pizzeria open daily until 2 AM, The Galley, which takes the place of a typical buffet and instead offers a series of food court style eateries. There's even table service in here, so if you just want to plonk yourself down and be served, you can do that too. There's also tapas and mezze style dishes at the dock and dock house, carnival style eats and snacks at the social club diner, think pretzels, hot dogs, popcorn and wings, plus pastries and decadent desserts, and even included ice cream. There's also a range of grab-and-go boxes packaged in reusable containers. These are available across the ship in different locations with snacks and meals like charcuterie plates, wraps, salads, and desserts. Generally, the food tastes like it is high quality, and that really comes down to Virgin Voyages making a conscious decision to ensure that most food on board is prepared fresh to order. It does come at the expense of some sense of variety, however, with the food in the galley becoming a little repetitive after a week or so. But if none of that is enough, why not try room service? In the convention of Uber Eats, Virgin Voyages calls its room service Ship Eats. Like their land-based Muse, you can use Ship Eats via your smartphone, and the food is delivered to your room in a temperature-controlled bag. The menu includes everything from snacks to steak, burgers, and soup. You'll receive a notification when the order is on its way, and then it's left at your door for the ultimate in privacy. While the food menu is totally complimentary, there is a delivery service fee of about $7, but if you make any purchase within the order, say for a barista-made coffee or an alcoholic beverage, that service fee is waived, so you're better off just ordering a drink. From an allergy or food sensitivity perspective, pretty much all conversations with servers in the ship's restaurants begin with them asking you if you have any food allergies. So it seems like the cruise line takes a vested interest in ensuring its guests are well catered for, literally. One of the other main criticisms leveled at Virgin Voyages when they first announced their local lineup of cruises was that their cost base was just too high. After spending about a week sailing with them, I have some thoughts on this. There are a lot of inclusions built into that base fare. I'm talking Wi-Fi, crew tips, all onboard dining, and basic beverages like soft drinks, both in cans and from self-service post-mix machines. There is still and sparkling water, filter coffee, and basic tea. That's a lot of extras that you would typically be paying more for on other cruise lines, and while you might look at that initial price and think, I actually think that Virgin Voyages is onto a good thing. They are positioned as a premium cruise offering, so they're not trying to be bargain basement, and frankly, based on the overall quality of the food alone, I think they represent good, solid value. If you're not a drinker of alcoholic beverages, then your onboard spend would be very little. If, on the other hand, you do enjoy a cocktail or two, the bar tab is your best bet. Virgin Voyages doesn't offer a regular drinks package. Instead, they offer a bar tab that can be purchased in increments of $300 up until 48 hours before your cruise departs. For every $300 bar tab you purchase, you will receive $350 to spend on board. It's important to note that the bar tab is non-refundable though. Unlike drinks packages on other cruise lines, the bar tab allows you the freedom to buy as many or as few drinks as you like. Since there's no limits, you can shout a round of drinks with no problems. Plus, as soft drinks are included in your fare, you only ever pay for the spirit component if you're ordering a basic spirit and mixer drink. I've previously made a video about drinks packages and why they're not always the great value that marketing departments want us to think that they are. You can watch that by clicking the card above or the link in the description below. But I think the bar tab occupies a really good middle ground. I think it presents really good value without making you feel like you need to drink a set number of drinks every day to get your money's worth. For me, it worked really well. And to confirm, yes, Virgin Voyages operate with US dollars as their onboard currency even when sailing in Australia. Anyone that spent a few minutes with me on board probably learned pretty quickly that I came to despise the band. It's Virgin's take on a room key and payment device for onboard purchases, and after using it for a week, I think it's another example of Virgin's ability to make something less functional in the pursuit of making it more fun. That might sound harsh, but let me explain. To start with, the band is a pain to put on. The anchor gets snagged easily on other things, including your clothing and especially the hammock on the balcony. They're prone to just falling off when they do get snagged, and it's easy not to feel that when it happens since it is such a light accessory. The little grey device is embedded with an RFID chip, which is what identifies you and your onboard account. When using this as your room key, you need to contort your wrist and hand to make sure that it meets the reader at your stateroom door at the perfect angle, or else it won't work. The same is true with any interaction with a crew member's scanner or reader when you're ordering a drink, or when you're scanning yourself off and back onto the ship. It's just not user-friendly. Personally, I think a card on a lanyard would be a better alternative. Now, if you've not used Princess's Medallion before, then you might think that the band is good, but it's just not. It's a sexy cruise card that just makes the onboard experience more difficult than it needs to be. If you want to learn more about the best cruise ship technology at sea, then you can click the card above or the link in the description below to learn more about the Princess Medallion. Now, it's not just the band itself. I think there's something really quite wrong with the technology behind it. This wasn't everyone's experience, but there were a fair number of people that did have to have their band reset or completely replaced. I was included in that. Mine was first reset, then replaced, stopped unlocking our stateroom door, while Michael's would continue to unlock the stateroom door, but then couldn't be used to order anything at one of the bars or through any of the servers. Each time something went wrong, you were forced to go back down to Sailor Services on Deck 5 for another round of cold and dismissive assistance. I was told that you can opt for a regular cruise card. I didn't do this. I did want to try the band and see how it all functioned, but maybe you need to do that on your next cruise if you are equally frustrated with the band as I was. Ultimately, I love technology and I love improving things with technology, but they have to provide a benefit. Otherwise, what's the point? Most would admit that Virgin Voyages' inaugural Australian cruise season is a little lackluster when it comes to summer cruising destinations. Thanks to congestion in Sydney Harbour, the cruise line operates primarily from Melbourne, and that means short itineraries of 3 to 6 nights that typically head south to Tasmania. While these are beautiful regions and places, these are not ideal summer cruising locations. As if to cement that fact, thanks to a technical glitch, surprise, during the embarkation of the maiden cruise, passengers were forced to wait in the cold and in the rain, with little to no shelter provided for most people at Melbourne Station Pier. This just isn't summer cruising, and although the weather is beyond anyone's control, cruising to the southernmost tip of Australia is not going to offer the summer cruise experience that most people want, and that I feel more closely aligns with the Virgin Voyages brand, and in particular, the onboard offering of Resilient Lady. A summer beach club just doesn't have the same vibe when it's cold, windy, and wet. Virgin Voyages has asked its travel agent partners to look at this inaugural season as though it is a bunch of sampler sailings, and with most itineraries in that 3 to 6 night duration, it's probably a good way to view them. I think though, and I know this was echoed by others on board, that more work needs to be done on planning the right itineraries and the right cruise durations for future seasons. I think many would jump at the opportunity to sail on a 1-week itinerary to the South Pacific Islands or far north Queensland, with the tropical setting working brilliantly with Virgin's sensational Scarlet Night celebrations, which we'll talk about now. There are a couple of areas where Virgin Voyages just excels, and along with food, entertainment is right up there. It all starts with the greeting when you walk on board. Well, actually, it all starts even before that, as Virgin Voyages differs from typical cruise lines in that its entertainment team is known as the Happenings cast. There's a whole range of unique positions within the cast, from the hostess and the diva to the foodie and the hype. Each plays a pivotal role in the onboard experience, and it's really almost like a typical cruise line's cruise director has split personalities and has been divided into many characters. Therefore, there are different people charged with taking on each of those unique positions. The sail away party is one of the best I've ever experienced, and I got to experience it twice. Make sure you don't miss it. There's also complimentary bubbles, and that helps get the party atmosphere going. It's also where you are introduced to the Happenings cast one by one. There's dancing in the pool, jumping in the pool for some people, and just a real sense of festive excitement that is so uniquely adult and steeped in your own individuality. There are also plenty of opportunities to mix with the Happenings cast and the other crew throughout the cruise. There's trivia, karaoke, bingo, and a whole range of shows that you can watch, and one of my favorite shows that I've ever seen on any cruise ship ever is Persephone. It's an incredible display of song, dance, and costumes. It's so contemporary and entirely awesome that I cannot recommend it enough. Persephone is a complimentary show, but a booking is required as numbers are limited. You can book using your app as soon as you get on board. There is standing room only and no seating provided for this particular show, but one of the best parts is feeling like you're inside the show, as the cast really do get quite close. There's plenty on offer throughout the day and night, with a focus on live music performances all over the ship. There's also a dinner show called Another Rose, which is $50 per person, but does include unlimited rosé, although I didn't see it on our cruises. Everyone that did said that they loved it. One other thing I noticed is that there's a lot of background music. It's not loud, it's just a mood setter, with contemporary lounge-style tunes just giving enough of an ambience to every environment so that it never felt dead. And of course, Scarlet Night is one of the most immersive onboard events you'll be witness to. The entire evening is dedicated to the fabled love of the goddess of the sea and the sailor who won her heart. The story is told all over the ship in a progressive style, where the cast move between locations over the course of several hours. The lights glow red both indoors and out, and there's no mistaking what night it is. It all culminates with an epic late night pool party, with the ship's cast performing some incredible dance routines to get things started. Eventually, it's everyone else's turn, with some passengers fully embracing the fun of Scarlet Night and jumping into the pool. Considering the temperature in the wind that night must have been in the single digits, I give them credit. One of the main concerns that people have expressed to me is whether they will feel too old on board Virgin Voyages. And after speaking to dozens of people, including those over the age of 70 and even older, the consensus is that no, you won't feel out of place on board. While ultimately, like any cruise line, you can do as much or as little as you like, It's really all about your attitude. As long as you have a desire to have fun and experience something new and different with terrific food and no kids, you will enjoy yourself. In fact, the average age on board a Virgin Voyages ship is probably something with a 5 or a 6 in front of it, and I will say that Virgin Voyages' marketing team probably did the cruise line no favors, as its initial millennials lounging by a pool shaking for champagne probably painted the wrong picture, but I believe they have since course corrected. On the travel agent side of things, and as someone who organized a group cruise, I have a lot to say about some of the team's more shore side, including their group's coordinators, who immensely let me down, and in fact I'm still not clear on what their purpose even is. But I will not mention that in this video because ultimately it has no bearing on your experience on board the cruise ship, but I will be addressing those things directly with Virgin Voyages. The cruise line has only been around for a few years, and as a new company and a new cruise line, they get a whole lot right. They offer a fantastic product that is truly a unique offering in a sea of what can often be the same. Those differences, things like exceptional food and entertainment, are to be commended. Coupled with an adults-only onboard environment and so many standard inclusions, it's what makes them such a compelling cruise option. While the tech issues have the potential to be the source of lingering frustration, and in-room storage is certainly something that detracts from the hotel experience on board, I don't think either of these are enough to warrant avoiding Virgin Voyages at all. The cruise line provides such an incredible onboard atmosphere that is truly different to what has come before it, and I think it's almost the perfect cruise experience for modern Australian tastes. Even though it isn't actually perfect, what in life is, I have no hesitation in recommending Virgin Voyages for your next cruise. Let me and the others know in the comments, will you be getting on board Resilient Lady this season? Or if you have already, what did you think? Let us know about your experience, as I'm sure it did differ from mine somewhat. And if you are interested in booking a cruise on Virgin Voyages or any other cruise line, you can head to my website, thecruiseandtravelguy.com.au. Don't forget you can watch my full Resilient Lady ship tour as well. And wherever you are, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your time. If you haven't clicked subscribe yet, you can do that. And if you want to stay up to date with my travels as they happen, you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Cruise and Travel Guy. Thanks so much for watching. Merry Christmas, and I'll see you soon. Design is as subjective as the convention of numbering on the tech front. The room is controlled with a tablet that you can use to in typical Virgin fashion, Virgin Voyages generally, the food on board tastes like it's high quality, and that does come down to Virgin Voyages. Virgin Voyages doesn't offer a regular drinks packages. It stopped unlocking our stateroom door for some reason, while Michael's would unlock the stateroom door, but then wasn't. Hi, I'm Adrian, the Cruise and Travel Guy. Why does this screen look blue? Why am I pulling the phone away from my face? Is it because I'm getting old? Probably.